As you can see, I have completed modeling the front of the car. If you want to analyze the geometry of the model, you can find it in the Scenes folder on the DVD. Here you can see the selected edges that I copied a few times. In the side view, you can see how I placed the vertexes and also how I positioned the edges of the line correctly to the blueprints of the doors and the other details of the car. If you want to see in the top view, the line of the body is straight, just like your average car is. Okay, now on the photos, I'm going to show you which elements we will be focusing on. So I'm going to show you how to model the place for the handle, because this is a hard thing to make. Next, we will go ahead and create the nice indent on the car doors, and of course, in the end, we will have to detach the door from the body. So let's go ahead and start. Now we'll have to add one more segment to the door, because our wire is too low. This one will be just enough for now. Next I will choose Hide Unselected, and the only element left on our scene will be the side of our car. So now we need to go ahead and select all polygons that will be part of our indent, and I will extrude them a little bit. And I think that's going to be enough right there. And of course we don't want to have a hole in the door, but just a nice smooth surface. So I need to use the weld tool and weld those vertexes in the front. Okay. Now by moving the edges I will correct a little of the shape. And remember, we want to be as precise as possible when adjusting the vertexes so we have the most continuous shape. Okay, now we're going to have to go ahead and sharpen the edges, because in the original, the edges were quite sharp. And of course, as you know, I'm going to go ahead and use the chamfer tool. Okay, now I need to go ahead and weld the few vertexes on the corners, and I hope you remember what happened the last time we chamfered the edges doing the wheel in the last chapter. Okay, great. Now let's go ahead and see how this looks with NURM's subdivision. Alright, it's nice, but we need to improve on a few things. Here, there's a little mess because of the chamfer process, so I need to weld those vertexes. You know, sometimes we can leave 3 and 5 sided polygons, and we do it right here, because as you can see it looks okay. So we simply don't have to change anything. Okay, now we need to go ahead and do the same on the top view. Let's see which vertexes we have to weld to gain a nice effect. Ouch, this doesn't look too good. So let's weld another. Here it is. It's better, but I'm still not satisfied. Let's go ahead and weld one more vertex. Now it's looking a lot better. Now that we have finished the indent, we can go ahead and detach the door from the whole object. We couldn't do this earlier because it would have been too hard to do all of the details on the body. So, to detach the door, we have to select all the polygons that will be part of it. And to select the other polygons, I need to change the viewport. Okay, maybe those last vertexes I will select individually. Now that's all, and let's go ahead and detach. And that's it. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how you should copy over all of your symmetrical objects. I usually use the mirror tool for that. You can find it here on the top right hand corner of your screen. Since we set up the pivot earlier, our door was mirrored exactly just like we want. And what we need to do with our original object will influence our mirrored objects. Just look, I selected a few polygons in the original object, and now I can go ahead and delete them. As you can see, the same polygons were deleted from the mirror object. Now I'm going to show you a little tip to use with the pivots. There is a fast and easier way to animate opening and closing of your doors. We just need to position the pivot exactly in one place where the hinges should be. And thanks to this, we'll be able to open or close the doors for different renders, just as you can see in the top viewport here. Okay, now I'm going to show you a new way of making a place for the handle. It is quite easy, but you're going to have to learn how to edit the wire without destroying the geometry. So first of all, I'll have to cut the door and make a new vertical segment. Okay, now we'll need to make another one. Now, I'll move this line of the new vertex more over to the right. Then I'll create new segments again. Thanks to this technique, I can place the hole for the handle exactly where it should be. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the hole using this polygon right here. First step is easy. We just need to go ahead and use the bevel tool and make the correct deepness of the hole. Now, when we smooth our surface, we can see that we have to sharpen the edges of the hole. So let's select the correct edges and use the standard chamfer tool. After we've chamfered, we need to go ahead and reduce the usual errors that occur in the corners. And if you remember correctly, we just have to weld the two vertexes to solve this problem. Excellent, now it's good. While I'm adjusting the three other corners, please notice that our edge is too angular. There are only two ways to solve this. We can increase the level of subdivision, which will make our surface more smooth, but unfortunately this has got to be a minus because of the number of polys. So let's go back to the previous sets and try to improve it by editing the geometry. We just have to add new segments because, as you can remember, thicker wire makes a smoother surface. So first, I'll make the vertical segment. So then all I need to do is select those edges and then use the connect tool. Of course, I can use the cut tool on polygons, but I prefer to use connect because of its precision. This is the same thing that I have to do with the horizontal edges. Okay, I think the edges of the hole are smoothed enough, so let's see it. Okay, it's good. So now we just have to edit the shape of it because it's too square, but that will be easy. I just have to spread those vertexes out. Again, I forgot about the constraints. It should be set on none. Now I can use the scale tool to spread them. And now the corners. I'll bring the vertex closer to each other. I just need to do the last two groups of vertexes. Okay, that's good. Now, as you can see, I have to position this little group of vertexes. And I think that's going to be enough right there. Of course, in another case, I would spend too much time on doing the correct shape, but now the most important is technique. Everything is complete, but I think I'd like to show you one more thing. As you can see, the surface of the door seems to be perfectly smooth, but when we rotate the viewport, reflections will show you a little bug. It's because we use the connection tool on the edges that had been part of the arc. In situations like this, we always have to improve the shape of the geometry, but in this case, it will be easy, as you can see, to fix, so I'll only need to move the vertex a little bit to gain a nice and smooth arc. Okay, it's all in this chapter. All we have to do is make the thickness of the door, but I've showed you in the hood chapter how we should do this, so we won't lose any video time for this. In the next chapter, we will continue building the body of the car.